So you're being asked to recognize the ways in which you are holding yourself back. Um, Eight of Swords is kind of what is confirming this for me, where it's kind of like you're in this cage of your own making and not really realizing how you're in this cage of your own making. And you're being asked to kind of let yourself see the reality of the situation for what it is, not what you think it is. Interesting. So you've definitely gotten some intuitive hits and little breadcrumbs along your journey about like what to do next, where to go next. And it feels like you have not been following them or you've been fearful to follow them. Like something within you is afraid to take that next step or take the next move. And what I'm being called to say is that if you receive like intuitive hits or like the breadcrumbs and you don't follow the breadcrumbs, they're not going to give you another breadcrumb. So it's really about you being able to learn how to take these breadcrumbs and actually put them into action so you can keep receiving more and more of them. It does feel like there's some type of like burdensome energy that is kind of holding you down or making it really hard for you to move forward and to shift. Um, and you're just feeling like really weighed down and heavy by whatever this is that's holding you down. It does feel like though this is kind of like fears and worries of the mind, and it's associated with kind of like past things that have played out in your life. So may it be that there were certain things that like didn't work out the way that you wanted them to, or didn't play out the way you thought they would, right? Like there's certain beliefs around that that are kind of blocking your movement forward. And it does feel like you have kind of like always lived in this like very conventional way. So like it does feel like as I'm talking about that, right, that this could be due to like some conventional views of how things are supposed to be. And that could be partially what's blocking you in some ways. It's like, do I follow what everybody else is doing or do I walk my own path? Right. And so it feels like that's a little bit of the pull and a little bit of the blockage in some areas is like this fear and worry about like kind of walking your own path and like, it not working out or it being seen as like unconventional is kind of what's coming through, or like seen as like not smart or like crazy even. Um, it does feel like though you have been kind of wishing for this. You've been kind of putting seeds in the ground associated with whatever this is. And it does feel like this has more so been like visualization for you. Maybe it would be like that you have like dreamed of this or you've had these visual ideas or ideas of what you want to be able to see it and bring into the world. But what it feels like is missing here is like that action to actually bring it in. Um And, it does feel like this is due to like subconscious beliefs that you've learned or that you've come to believe because of certain losses that have happened for you or certain things that like haven't worked out. So, the certain thoughts or beliefs that like, why would this work for me now if it didn't work for me before is like coming through. And just like because of that, there's like this fear of even taking action or feeling like it's even worth it, right? The other thing that's kind of coming through too is like this fear of failure. So, and I do feel like this is a fear of failure that's coming up before you even try or make an effort. Like there's this just worry that like it's just not gonna happen. It hasn't happened before, so why would it happen now, right? And it's kind of keeping you stuck. And so this is where I feel like you're being asked to kind of like have hope and have the belief that, this could be different. This may not be exactly how you think it's going to be. And the fact of the matter is that you can't know that until you take a leap, until you do move forward, until you decide to take action and see what happens, right? Like instead of just assuming that everything's going to play out as it always has, right? So there's definitely like this like subconscious kind of beliefs that are weighing you down because of past experiences, which makes sense, right? And I think we all have them. It's about not letting them control us and learning how to, follow the things that we want for ourselves anyways, to show up for ourselves anyways, even if, there is a little bit of fear. Fear is not meant to be something that holds us back. It's actually information, because I had a psychic say this to me one time, but what it is that you fear is actually what you're supposed to do usually. And so if you're fearful of something, that's actually information that that's probably the step you're supposed to take. And I think a lot of people like feel fear and then they like pull backwards, right? And you can either like learn how to manage the fear and not let it control you, or you can let it control you, and that's your choice, right? And it does feel like you've been in this place of like wanting this thing, manifesting this thing in your mind, but like not actually taking action on it because of that fear piece of what's coming through. And it does feel like this is around being seen. Um, like there's a fear of like rejection or a fear of judgment that's coming through around like putting yourself out there in what it is that you want to do, and maybe just not feeling good enough. It does feel like you're being asked to move away from that, though, like to move on from that, to actually like follow your heart's desire rather than let this fear get in the way of that, right? And it does feel like this is leading you to like your ultimate fulfillment. But for you to be able to walk that path and get there, you have to be able to take those steps in that direction, right? And I just feel like in this energy that I'm like there's a little bit of like a freeze response that I'm like noticing and feeling, where it's like some days I feel like I can do this thing, and then some days I feel like I can't. And like it's kind of like this like back and forth energy. And what I want to say with this is like there's never a right time and you're never going to be ready. And it's not about getting ready. It's about learning how to like get ready as you go, and learning how to um get better as you go and as you do certain things, right? Like, excuse me, confirmation, but you get better as you practice, you get better as you actively take the action. It's not something that you're going to feel ready or prepared to do at any point in time. And it does just feel like there's a difficulty with the discomfort of fear that's coming up, where you're not really sure how to manage the fear that's coming up for you. And it feels like that's constantly like pulling you backwards and overpowering your ability to kind of move forward with this thing. And I do think it's like around this fear of like being seen, being seen maybe as different, or being seen as like weird for what it is that you want to do. Um, there's also this feeling of like, I don't know why this is coming through, but like a lot of us, we hear, well, how are you going to make money doing that growing up, right? When you're trying to create a plan for your future and stuff, which we start doing at a pretty young age. And it feels like when you did bring this thing up and it was something that you really wanted to do, there was just a lot of doubters around you, or a lot of people like that couldn't see it for themselves. But that doesn't mean that it's not possible for you. And so that's kind of the message that I'm being guided to share, is like, just because people around you weren't able to see this thing or weren't able to recognize how it could be possible doesn't mean it's not possible for you. This actually is bringing you towards the 10 of cups. This is bringing you towards ultimate fulfillment. And I think there's a part of you that like knows that, but it's the getting there that feels overwhelming and just like too much, and like somewhat like a really long road of like, can I actually do this thing? Can I actually make it there? Can I actually get there? Can I actually show up? Right? I do see you making a lot of plans to move in this direction. Um, you're making a lot of plans to move in this direction, but this kind of comes back to what I was saying earlier, is that, you know, you're receiving you're receiving the insights, but you're not seeing them for what they are. Or maybe you are and you're just too afraid to take the step. And so you're receiving like the next breadcrumb, and it's about following those breadcrumbs. When you receive intuitive hits, it's about, taking that intuitive hit and then taking action on it, taking that intuitive hit and then taking action on it. And you'll keep getting those intuitive hits as you go down, but there's no way for you to fully see that path in front of you. And it does feel like maybe you're somebody who has been more like conventional in the way that you have like created your life and planned your life. And this is just not something that can be planned in that way. And so the divine is trying to give you this beautiful gift and give you what you're asking for in this new kind of materialistic beginning for yourself, like in this world. And it feels like there's just some of these fears that are making it difficult for you to actually reach out and accept this. And like you're struggling to open yourself up to receive. Um, and to be able to receive, right, you have to be able to take the action towards that thing to receive it, to get it, right? If we're not making ourselves visible and we're not putting ourselves out there and we're not talking about how is anybody going to know what you're doing or what you're planning or what you're wanting to do. So it does feel like there's a little bit of like a visibility kind of wound that's coming up here that is making it really difficult for you to just put yourself out there in the way that you want to make this come true, to make this be able to come into your fruition. And I do think that it's going to be way more successful than you're even imagining. It's just about being able to step in. So, right, like Six of Coins came out. So it's about you really being able to kind of give to receive, right? If you don't give, then you don't receive. If you don't take action, then you're not going to receive that action back. And so this really comes down to you kind of moving through that freeze response around the fear of taking action. And one thing about taking action that I'm feeling called to say is that, when you first start taking action, you're not going to like get the results that you exactly want. And that's something that takes repetition, consistency, and time and continuing to show up, right? It does feel like whatever this is that I'm talking about for you, though, is something that you feel very passionate about and something that you really do want for yourself. And so I think that if you can build the self trust and build the confidence to at least start, you'll be able to get through the journey of becoming. But the journey of becoming is where a lot of people get stuck and fall off because the results take a little bit of time before they come in and before they actually land in your reality. There's certain practice and certain things that you have to get good at for you to be able to completely bring these things in the way that you're imagining or wanting. And a lot of the people, we all nowadays kind of want instant gratification in regards to these things. And that's kind of where we get stuck, right? So, like some of your fears of, well, maybe nobody will show up or maybe nobody will like what I'm wanting, right? It feels like if you kept doing it and you kept showing up, then you would eventually bring in the right people. You would eventually attract in the right people, but it's something that you have to be willing to show up for consistently over the course of time. And it doesn't feel like this is a one and done kind of deal, right? This is something that you have to show up for on a consistent basis for, day by day by day for months at a time before maybe you'll see the results. And I think this is where a lot of people struggle and get stuck. So this is bringing you to your ultimate fulfillment. This is bringing you to exactly what you want and what you've been looking for. But the part that you're struggling with is actually recognizing that showing up is a result. Showing up is enough sometimes. Showing up is good enough. And, even if you get one person who responds to you, that's a win, right? And it's about recognizing those smaller wins and those smaller things. There's just this like feeling of you have kind of like had a breakdown in your foundation over the last couple of years where you've had like a bunch of realizations about certain things just not being aligned with you anymore. And it does feel like you're kind of struggling to rebuild that. And that's because of this like lack of action that's not occurring. Right. And so when it comes to manifestation, the most important part is being able to take the action and follow through and just trust and know that everything is inevitable and it's going to happen for you because you're going to make it happen for you. There is no choice of going backwards, right? And so it's about kind of like making that choice and just letting whatever you felt like wasn't working end so that something new can come in, some new beginning can come forward, right? And you can step into this energy of the creator of your reality, of the main character of your reality, and stand in that knowing that everything is always working out for me. The universe is always conspiring for me. This really does feel like it's coming back down to, though, your ability to trust yourself to be able to create this thing and follow through and make it happen. So I do feel like whatever it is that, as I was talking, that you felt like you're being called to do and the step that you're being asked to take that step. Just do it. Just work through whatever it is that you need to work through to get to that point, and you'll continue to receive more breadcrumbs along the path, and this will build over time with that as well. So, if this resonates with you, leave me 1212 in the comments. And I just want you to know that if you need help with this, you need help building self trust, building confidence, to stop second guessing yourself, stop self doubting, move through this fear. This is exactly what I do in my coaching. So you can find more information at crystalclearmystic.com, and just know that you got this. Self trust and confidence is built over time, repetition, and consistency. And we are all capable of it. I love you so much.